Hello everybody, I'm back with another video for you today, and I'm really sorry about not posting much, actual Gwent content and, decks, gameplay and all that good stuff for a while, but, you've probably already heard that I've been a little bit burnt out. Hopefully, this patch will help that a little bit, and, of course, moving forward, future expansions and whatnot, of course, will alleviate that, so expect, maybe a little bit more gameplay than there has been recently on the channel, but we'll see what happens. But the recent patch that was brought in did change quite a few cards, even though it was mainly focused around improving the new player experience. I've built a Francesca deck here that I think got, a lot of stuff from this patch, and in particular, a lot of the Dryads have been buffed. I was in fact running Dryad Grovekeeper, and the gameplay does have me running that card, but I decided to actually take it out for Dryad Fledglings instead. You could even run both, honestly, maybe taking out, the Hawker Healer or whatever in place of that, but yeah, really, these cards went up to 4 strength. They were previously 3, so that makes them immune to stuff like Gimpy Gerwin, which was a real threat to the idea of Francesca with Water of Broccolon. That's what the deck is focused around, of course, 4 to tutor for that. You can go 4 Water of Broccolon and another Water of Broccolon in round 3. In theory, that is the dream with Francesca. And you get 4 engines on the board in one play that is not even immune to Gimpy. You can then just steamroll the opponent. The deck is focused around a lot of different tribes. You, of course, have the Gnome, you have the Dwarves, you have the Elves, you have a couple of Beasts with Panther, you have the Treant Boar. So really a lot of stuff to proc the Harmony effect. You have Dryad Fledglings there to enable the Water of Broccolon if you don't have 4, or if you're playing it from Francesca, you can go Dryad Fledgling into Water of Broccolon for 3 engines on board in one turn. Did have Grovekeepers before. They're a little bit greedier. They kind of are better if you are only using kind of the 4 into Water of Broccolon from Francesca in round 3, and then going Grovekeeper on top of that to get the Vitality and, all the Dryad synergy going on there. But, I think Fledgling is a bit safer. But as I said, you can run both. It's really cool that these guys got buffs, because it helps this kind of sort of hidden Francesca archetype become a little bit stronger, and I do think it has potential, because the amount of engines you can spew onto the board, combined with the strength of the bronzes and golds in Squirtle naturally, with the agitators onto Sheldon in particular, the rest of the hand buff and the carryover from Gabor and all that stuff, as well as the general removal with Panther, Ciaran, etc. that you get in Squirtle, makes this really promising. It's like a removal deck with engine value as well. You also, of course, have that trusty Ragnarug in Francesca. It's usually very, very powerful, and you have Dragoons and stuff to kind of move things around and maybe set that up more. Long round, this deck will devastate most things, of course, and it can, win short rounds as well with the power from Sheldon, so definitely a fun one. As I said, the gameplay will be a little bit different to this deck, because I did modify it a bit, but yeah, it's a very fun deck, so I recommend, maybe checking it out if you want. If not, whatever, let's just jump into a couple of games and see how it does. Okay, we're going to be up against Anna Emir, one of the definitely stronger, if not the strongest Nilfgaard leader at the moment, it seems like. Okay, what are we going to go for here then? Of course, bronze is not particularly good, but we do have some dwarf synergy, which is really nice. The skirmishers should get value against Nilfgaard, which, might play on front row. With stuff like Impera and, Alma Pikeman and whatnot. So we can probably think about getting rid of Dragoon. It's not going to be that useful. We don't have the Rag in hand. We do have 4, which is very nice. Since we have that, we can get rid of Water of Broccolon, of course. And the Grovekeepers, not terrible. I'm a little bit worried about, getting volunteers on the mulligans, so I think I'm going to keep this. There is definitely potential to go for the 4 and the Dryad Grovekeeper this round if we want to secure it. And go for, that long round 3 or whatever, and I think we're actually going to go for that as a start. It is quite, a commitment, but this is going to present, a lot of points, and hopefully that'll be good. And we could probably buff up 4 to, hopefully keep that extra Dryad alive and make sure Grovekeeper gets a bit more value. So, of course, Francesca is an activator. We have to be a little bit scared of a Sire who can shuffle back, of course, Water of Broccolon, and then potentially make our Francesca dead. That's maybe one issue with this deck, sort of, this particular style of Francesca. Only a couple of spells. In fact, Arbalist is going to come down. That is pretty bad news. So now we're banking on drawing Ragnarug later on, otherwise we're obviously in trouble. Going to have a dead leader at that point. But, not super unlikely we can do thinning this round and whatnot. And let's, start going on that path, I guess. We could probably go with the Grovekeeper first, but I don't mind playing the Agitator here either. The Vitality, we won't really struggle to get the value from that. So, you know, we don't really want to buff these fledglings into range of stuff like Leo, Peter, value and whatnot, so probably better to just throw it onto the you know, dwarf or whatever. Although it looks like it might be hard to get one on the board and keep one on the board, but at least we're triggering our Harmony multiple times since they're killing these guys. Skirmisher can come down now, proc Harmony again, and hopefully we'll be able to get Volunteers out. If not, then that's a bit of a shame. But it looks like we will be able to. I think I'm going to go with the Grovekeeper now. Although, yeah, maybe not. It's a little bit risky. I think getting Volunteers out is very important. So we'll do that, and, you know, we can play Grovekeeper next turn if they don't pass. Of course, the whole UI is a bit different now, but in fact, you can't see the amount of cards I have because of my camera's in the way, but not really the biggest deal. You can probably just count yourself. I guess I could move. Whoa! Cleaver gonna come down. That's pretty powerful. So we do lose a bit of Dryad Grovekeeper value, but not the end of the world. Let's go with that now. Kind of one of the weaker cards here. Can get rid of that. And of course we can still, you know, proc a little bit of Harmony value on Archer, on the Boar. We could also just take a pass and use Gabor as carryover into round 3. Oh, focus. Hello? Okay, my camera's doing weird things for some reason. Bizarre, bizarre indeed. Okay, yeah, taking the pass is probably acceptable. We'll be able to play that Gabor on the dry pass for carryover, hopefully. We do have a lot of other hand buffy type things, you know, the agitators, Ithlin and all that for Sheldon potentially, although I'm a little bit afraid of Shillard. That is a card that is often around in the Nilfgaard decks. But we'll see what happens. Real shame that our Walter Brocklon's gone. I guess against Nilfgaard that's going to be a pretty common issue. And okay, maybe we can play Gabor round 3 since we did draw a bit of carryover in the Agitator. Let's get rid of the weaker cards. The Elves, yeah, probably Sappers can go as well. Ragnarok, perfect, okay. I was going to be a little bit worried otherwise, but that is definitely going to make our time a little bit safer. The issue here is we might have to play it in round 2 if we get bled, and that would not be great news. But we have seen a Sire, so most likely we can get away with playing the Rag and not playing Francesca as well. I suppose they could always shuffle it back with a mirror and cause us to have a Brick Leader, which wouldn't be ideal. So that's something to keep our eye on. It might not be worth committing it yet. Tricky decisions to make. If we're able to get to round 3, we're going to be in a pretty nice position. So I think we can probably go ahead and Rag. Is it the end of the world if they shuffle it back? Kind of trade a leader for a leader at that point, right? So I don't know that it's the end of the world. Maybe it's worth putting it on the front row though. Nah, let's not worry about it. I think we'll be okay. If they're going to go for a 2-0, it would be worth it for them to do that. Otherwise, probably not. So, you know, we're kind of baiting them into going for a 2-0, and that maybe isn't a great thing for them because we do have a card extra here to work with. But we'll see. Looks like it's not going to be a problem just yet. They're going to hold on to that. They might, you know, pull the trigger in a second, and we might have to play our Francesca. They have put down quite a bit of tempo, and we don't really have anything to react to that. So I suppose we could just go with maybe an Agitator here. Going to be a bit far behind in points. Maybe the line of players to go Agitator and Ithlin and actually use our Francesca here. I kind of like that. Kind of like that. Or, you know, our Gabor, either of those. This is probably just going to make us immune to most of the stuff that comes down. We'll be able to win the round by a point, I believe, if, you know, if they pass. So that's okay. So yeah, probably playing Gabor is fine. Yeah. He will lose his immunity, but you know what, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so we managed to get out of that one, which is good, obviously. But we are down a leader, which is a bit worrying, a little bit worrying. You know, even cards, carryover is on our side, but we'll see if that's actually going to be enough to push us over the edge here. The Grove Keeper's pretty bad. We don't really have any Dryads left at this point. Hawker Healer also isn't great, so we'll get rid of that. And we might have to just hope there's no Shillard here, honestly, because if there is, it's going to really, really hurt, no matter what we do, so... yeah, I guess we can start with the ball. There's no real reason not to. Get an engine set up. Hopefully it will find some value. We'll save Ithlin just in case there is, you know, the potential for a Shillard. Throwing that out would be very, very bad if there is a Shillard. If not, we might end up doing that, but we'll see, I suppose. Interesting. Going to damage the Treant Boar, so unfortunately we don't have movement, otherwise we could save it, but we can still get some value from it before it dies. That's pretty nice. There's not really another proactive play here for us, so I guess we do have to go with the Ithlin now. I guess if we want to be safe, we should probably buff up Milane and play around the, you know, the stuff that they could have. The potential Shillard. I think this is the safer play. Most likely they won't have a target larger than maybe 6 anyway, right? So it's probably okay, although now the only way to deal with this Treant Boar is to actually play the Milane and kill it that way. So I guess we have to do that. Not really ideal. Obviously we want to Panther this, but it's a Scoia'tael unit, so we can't. Okay, I think we have to take the risk. If this is able to heal, it will just generate so much value, and I don't think we're winning at that point. Gonna have to just hope Shillard is not a thing, and, you know, they didn't play it at the start, so perhaps they don't have it. It's not that common as well in Nilfgaard all the time these days, I don't think, so we'll kind of gamble a little bit. Either way, it's you know, good to play around it, because, of course, Leo is most likely in their hands, and we're playing around it, you know, this way. In every case. So no Shillard, so I think we're pretty safe to go Barnabas. And just boost these guys, get the 10 value confirmed on it. We're pretty far ahead right now. Of course they do have their leader. If they're able to get a lot of, you know, a lot of value from that, then we're in trouble. We're in trouble. But we do have Panther to remove Swiz. Let's use that now. That's really nice actually. In case they wanted to pull that back with Amir. Leo is not going to be able to be replayed with Amir for value, so what can they really replay at this point? It's probably going to have to be damage or something, you know, quite weak, maybe a few points, 5 points or something from their leader, which, you know, is not amazing, and we do have this pretty big Sheldon coming up. We know Orcs and Seret are in hand, and we can probably guess that, you know, Leo is in hand, potentially a Peter, although we're not sure about that. And the replay is going to be on Seret. I mean, it's pretty damn good, honestly. I'm kind of saying it's not great, but it is 7 points, which is, you know, pretty good for a leader. And it is going to, you know, bring us pretty damn close to where they're at. So we know the Orcs is around, and that's not too scary of a thing. We could play Sheldon now and just get rid of the Seret, but don't really see a reason to do that just yet. We can wait a little bit. Let's play the Archer now. Knock Letho down a little bit. We want to try to minimize Peter value and stuff like that, of course, if we can. Leo is going to come down for 11, but we've got a 14-point Sheldon in response. So depending on their last card, Panther right now is a 6, which is okay. It's not too bad. As long as their last card isn't, you know, really, really good, we're probably winning this one. Bit of a crazy game with all the you know, graveyard shenanigans going on, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So if we play Sheldon, we're not really losing out on anything. I'm thinking if we play Panther, we might play into a card like Slave Inventory a bit too much. If they have Slave Inventory, we can kill the Leo with the Panther, right? And then they won't get Slave Inventory value. So I think this plays around everything. They find 4 value on Peter no matter what. So I think this is safe to do. We'll go for the Sheldon now. And then Panther to finish the game off. They need a lot of points. False Theory, not going to cut it. Presumably their last card being that Leo. It might not be. It could even be like a Regis or something weird. Regis onto back row wouldn't be worth that many points, I don't think. Maybe it would be. Looks like Leo was the last card, I imagine, and that's going to be a pretty nice win. So, you know, getting Graveyard hated a bit. Pretty lucky, I guess, that we drew the Ragnarok, but that was an interesting game and nice win. Let's move on to the next one and see if we can do that again. Okay, and we're going to be now up against an Iced. We'll see how this one goes. Should be pretty interesting. It's worth mentioning, I forgot to mention, but you do need a Dryad on the board to actually get value from the Water of Broccolon, so, you know, you might have to save a Grovekeeper in some cases for round 3 to re-trigger it if you use the water in round 1. That's worth noting. You know, it's not immediately obvious. Okay, let's get rid of probably the Hawker Healer here. Sappers I don't think will find value, but I guess we can hold on to it. It's probably worth getting rid of, to be honest. We do have Sheldon in hand again, and this time red coin, really nice. So we don't have to, I mean, we don't even have the Water of Broccolon in hand, but we don't have to play that round 1. We can save that for a, you know, really powerful 4 Dryad, potentially, Francesca, which, you know, won't be immune to, which will be immune to Gimpy, I should say. Probably Skirmisher can be a fine play onto the Longship to begin things. Don't have any need for that card. We can then play the Agitator Volunteers, hopefully. And all that stuff, all that good stuff. Probably playing Mullane onto Harold is worthwhile, I think. Going to be able to shut that down and stop the skulls from being procced. Although, most likely a priest will come down anyway. I guess we could lock that, but maybe it's not worth it. It might just be better to allow the skulls to kind of fire off, right? And get the volunteers out now. I kind of prefer this approach. Most likely we're not winning round 1 anyway here, because our hand is, you know, not particularly great. We can, you know, use the Agitator to buff the Sheldon now. Should be fine, and, I mean, yeah, we'll probably lose this round, but don't know if that's that bad of a thing. Honestly, playing Dragoon on the Priest is probably a good thing to do now. Move that guy and make sure he isn't hitting the skulls, so they lose potentially a little bit of value on the stuff they're going to go for here. Maybe not. Looks like Shield Maiden comes down. And we're pretty damn far behind in points, but I think we can make one last play here with the Agitator without being too far behind. I might be wrong about that. We do have to make quite a lot of points. I guess we've got the 10 with the Sheldon, so this kind of cancels out the points they get from this. 1, 2, and then 10 plus we need 7. We do have it with Mullane, so we can play this. We're cutting it a little bit close, but we can get away with this play. We would have to play a couple of good cards if they do decide to pass here, but in that case we do guarantee a very long round, and that would be quite nice. So, the end of the world. And a Vildkal gonna be played. Interesting. I mean, there's not much more we can do here other than pass, I do think. Now, of course, they're going to get this kind of combo as their finisher, which we won't be able to disrupt, but at least we have a little bit of value in the Sheldon already. And we've got that long round kind of locked down, so, you know, we'll hopefully be okay in that instance. Let's go to the Dragoon. We are going to need the Grovekeeper to trigger Water of Broccolon, potentially. That can be a bit scary if you don't have the 4 of them. We don't have it, so I guess we're going to get rid of the Hawker Healer here. And if they push us, we might have to commit Francesca, to be quite honest. Might be a thing that we do. So a little bit of a trickier one this time around, but, you know, let's go with the Grovekeeper to start things off. Sure.
Not to worry. The wood will make good use of your corpse.
And then we've got to go with that Water of Broccolon to really get things going. Now, we could deal with the Svalbard Priest if we wanted to, but I think playing the Water of Broccolon's fine. That's going to give us some real pushing power here, and we can maybe take the card off of them, and then deal with some of the later game stuff that will come out. Now the question is, do we want to play our Francesca here? Probably not worth doing. Probably not worth it. I think instead we're just going to go for the kill on the Protector. Yeah.
Some things cannot be forgiven.
We do get ahead, of course, with the harmonies, so, you know, we'd get the card with Francesca, but they've still got the ice value. They'd probably just outpower us at that point. The Olaf is going to come down. Now, we can't kill it with any of our cards. We can lock it, though, and I think we're going to go for that play. We are a little bit far behind, but not much we can do about that. Hopefully we'll be able to get out of this round without, you know, just losing. That would be pretty bad. And we can pull the trigger on the Francesca if we need a further, you know, 10 points or whatever. Before we play a Dwarf, maybe. Yeah, should that be a thing. The Grovekeeper will allow us to trigger Water Broccolon round 3. Although, of course, we're then playing a 4-point card. It's not maybe ideal. But okay, we get the round win. That's really significant. We can Play the Gabble for carryover, of course, as well, and go to that round 3 now. Should be okay. Now, if we draw Ragnarok, we then can decide to use that as our Francesca target rather than the water. We'll see about that. And we do draw it, so, you know, there's potential there. I don't think it will find more value than the water. We don't really want a Mulligan Dryad anyway, because we have other bad cards to get rid of, namely the Skirmisher. Let's get rid of that one first. Barnabas will find more value with the Dryad, so we could Mulligan maybe the Archer here, but there are dead cards in the deck, so I think I'm going to play it a bit safe here. Maybe too safe, but better to be safe than sorry, I think, and we'll go for that. Let's go with the Dryad, Grovekeeper to begin things, and of course Francesca to follow up. And you know, we have a lot of triggers for the Harmony here, so if they can't answer these guys, then we're in really good shape, I think, to just outpower them. Treant Boar as well. You know, Ice typically, the thing it struggles with is dealing with these kind of cards, so hopefully that's where we're gaining an edge in this game, this round 3. May Protector is going to be played. Let's get you know, our Treant Boar going, I think, as our next play. We could play the Ragnarok, but they haven't really committed enough to one row that I want to do that. And you know, Treant Boar is another engine card that we want to get down sooner rather than later, so it doesn't really hurt to do this. We do have a Hjalmar happening. Okay, Treant Boar's dead. How sad. We can probably go ahead and Panther the May Protector. We're not going to get too much value on Ragnarok, which is a bit sad. It looks like, but, you know, maybe we will. Maybe we will. I think we can go ahead and play Panther now. Not really missing out on too much. Just able to kill an engine, and then probably Ragnarok next turn. We're hoping they play something more than, you know, a couple of points on one of these rows. Yutta, that works. We can throw Ragnarok now onto back row. Let's do that. We are able to trigger Harmony 2 more times, so we're getting another 4 points here, which is pretty you know, important. You know, now that I think about it, Dryad Grovekeeper might be worse than the Fledglings. Running normal Fledglings might be better than this, because that's kind of a nice activator for the Water of Broccolon, so, you know, maybe think about changing that one around if, you know, I would recommend that. Alright, let's do a little bit of damage, get that Harmony. I love Harmony, it's such a cool little mechanic, honestly. You know, playing Dana was a great amount of fun back in the day, and still is pretty great. Okay, so we do get the full value on Barnabas, which is pretty damn good, to be honest. And, you know, Sheldon is a 10, not small at all. Not small. Also buffs the Gabble. We'll see if we have enough. They, of course, have the very big finisher of the good old Knut and Vildkarl, so we might not have enough to beat them here. We'll see. But, yeah, gonna be close. I think probably that finisher's a bit too many points for us to win against here. Unfortunately. It's just so many points. But, you know, pretty damn close one. But yeah, I'm happy to take that loss. Honestly, I think probably worth running the Fledgling over the Dryad Grovekeeper. I mean, this game is an example of that, right? Yeah, I would switch that out maybe. You can definitely get, you know, 6, 7, 8 points from it in those kind of rounds like we played just there. But yeah, a bit of an unrefined deck, but you know, that's just the way of it. Of course, I haven't been playing too much recently, but hope the theme and the deck idea is fun and the gameplay was enjoyable. And yeah, thanks a lot guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.